So you can't get any of the new mega sets. They're all sold out, scalped, or just straight up not available. Maybe it's time to move to a new hobby. Move to something that you can easily buy new product for and not have to worry about the struggle of finding the sets for your hobby. Today, we're gonna be talking about why you should not do that, why you should keep your collection, and how to be a mega fan in an era of mega where getting sets is nearly impossible. How do you do it? What keeps you a mega fan if you can't buy the new sets? I think there's a lot more to being a fan than just buying new stuff. So let's find the answer to that question. How are you going to be a mega fan when you can't buy the new sets? Our first category is very simple. Play. Now, I know a lot of you are suddenly skeptical because we're all older. Most of us are older anyway. And, once you reach a certain point, it's like play kind of stops. When you're younger, play is very important. That is like the way to have fun. And then it just stops. And it even becomes kind of an embarrassing thing. Like, oh, you don't want to be caught playing. Like, ooh. But I'm here to tell you, play is actually really good. There's nothing wrong with it. And in a lot of cases, it might even be a healthy thing. I know there's studies behind that idea. I'm not gonna go into the science behind it, but that is the simplest and easiest way to engage with any hobby relating to toys. Pick that Pelican up and fly it around the room. There is absolutely nothing wrong with that, and it's a lot of fun. There are many times where you can walk in this room and find me flying my Pelican around the room because why not? Like, pick that thing up and fly it around the room. Take that Warthog, drive that Warthog around. Why not? Have your little guys on the desk, have them fight each other. I don't know. It's just a very simple, fun way to engage with what you have, because I don't need to buy a new mega set to enjoy flying my Pelican around the room. I don't need to buy a new mega set to have Master Chief sword fight this elite, because I already have them. So look at what you have and just live a little and play. Now I understand it is not fun for everybody. That's not how you engage in this hobby, perhaps. And I totally understand that. We will be diving into more categories, but I wanted to cover this first because I feel like there is this kind of general air of looking down upon play when there's nothing wrong with running your ODST around your desk because you think this guy is cool and you want him to run around the desk. Pick up that ghost, drive the ghost around, have him fight the Spartans, the elite fight the Spartans with the ghost. I don't know. There's endless possibilities, and really the only real limitation is your imagination. Play, simplest, easiest way to engage with this hobby. All you need is a single figure and you can play. You don't need to buy any of the new stuff at all. You're all set. One figure and you're good to go. Our next category is kind of twofold. We have display and posing, and I feel like those go kind of hand in hand. Display is pretty simple. You can see a bit of a display here. These are fairly simple displays. Just set up the figures, kind of go with it. You can go wild with the displays. You can do diorama style displays like this. That's awesome. You can do something as simple as just setting up figures on a shelf. That's also awesome. And then you can go even further by adding posing in. And posing can be almost a facet of play and display because you can pick up a figure and just pose them. I do that all the time. If I'm sitting there at my desk, I'm thinking about how to work on a project, sometimes I'll just pick up a figure and start posing him because it's a great way to just help me think and also just have fun getting the figure into cool poses. It's almost the idea of like a fidget spinner, but like better. Chuck the fidget spinner in the trash, pose yourself a mega figure. So much better. And that's another thing that you're really only limited by your own creativity and also Obviously, for posing, you're limited by the joints. But for display, you might be saying, well, Demarcation, I don't have a lot of pieces to build dioramas. Who says you have to use mega pieces? You can get Lego, you could get the boot Lego pieces, or you could just not use bricks at all and do things like painted cardboard, foam, all that sort of thing. All you need, a single figure. Get yourself some cardboard, foam, who knows what. Make yourself a display, and all you need is a single figure to pose too. And the more you do it, the better you will get, because it is an art. The same way that like taking photos is an art. So those two things can go hand in hand. You can do them separately because you can just choose not to pose your figures for display, and you can also choose not to display the figures that you pose. But they kind of go hand in hand, and again, very easy, very simple. All you need is one figure to get started.
Hello there, my name's MJ and I run the stop motion side of things for Multiversal Productions. You may remember my efforts from such stop motions as Mech Motion or ODS Terror 2. But today, Z has given me the chance to give my input on how you can be a Mega fan without having access to those shiny new sets. If you're watching this video, then chances are you're quite familiar with the stop motion community. It's a very large part of the Mega community, with some stop motions out there having millions of views. So maybe it's time you pick up the camera and start producing your own. So put that fear out of your mind and pay attention. We're covering the basics for the beginners. Step 1. Clear your desk. Step 2. Pick up a phone and get Stop Motion Studio downloaded. It's the best stop motion app, and none of those little pesky watermarks will ruin your work. Step 3. Choose your cast of figures. You just need to pick your hero and your villain. Step 4. Use a base plate or tack to stand those figures up. And step 5. Make sure your cast are in focus and holding any props that they may need. After each picture, make a very small movement to your cast figures, but be prepared to make lots of errors. Step 6. Enjoy the fruits of your labor. Hit play on that app and watch your figures come to life. And that's it. Upload it to YouTube and let the community see your work. And over time you will improve and maybe even make your own 50-minute stop motion about an ODST fighting a flood. I'd be a bit more original though. Thanks for having me, Z, and I'll see you next time.
Hey everyone, KevMCX here. For those who don't know me, I'm a short-form mega content creator, mainly on TikTok and Instagram. We've all had the problem of finding new and innovative ways to display our figures and have more fun with the brand in general. That's where MOCs, or my own creations, and dioramas come in. If you've been collecting for a while like me, we all have spare bricks lying around, so instead of letting them sit around and collect dust, I like to take the pieces I have and make things that Mega hasn't for us. In this first section, I'll be going over small builds. These are builds that can typically be put together with a handful of parts. Here we have the mid-sized barrier. This build is made up of primarily metallic green parts. If I remember correctly, I built 2 of these barriers using parts from sets that are pretty easy to find, being the Wasp Onslaught, Warthog Rally, Pelican Inbound, and the Building Box. Next, we have this small combat barrier. This is a scaled down version of the barriers you see across several Halo titles. This build uses 1 Wasp Onslaught and 1 Warthog Rally. I actually made free instructions with a parts list that can be found in the video description, so check it out if you want to build it for yourself. Finally, we have one of the few Covenant builds I've done, the Covenant Radio Antenna, featured across several missions in Halo 3. This build was made with parts primarily from the older Spectre set. This and the other builds I've showcased make a fine addition to any display. The next category are what I like to call scenery builds. Have you ever wished Mega would release a set that fits perfectly with a group of figures you love? Why wait around when you can build it yourself? In my case, I really wanted a cool backdrop for my Alpha 9 figures, so I put together this drop pod hanger that is reminiscent of the opening scene from Halo 3 ODST. This build uses parts from a range of sets, but a bulk of the parts are from the Cauldron Clash. This build is packed with little details and fun references from the game and look great on a shelf with other sets. Finally, we have custom vehicles. Surprised that Mega hasn't made your favorite vehicle? Why not build it yourself? Here, we have my rendition of the Bumblebee Life Pod from Halo CE. There are criminally few CE style sets in the Mega line. This build was made to solve that problem, while creating an iconic vehicle you see early on in the game, and is an integral set piece seen throughout the second mission. This being one of my first attempts of making a custom vehicle, It has a very basic interior, but I think it looks great with a few CE figures scattered around it. Think an old set needs a remake? Me too. Here, we have my most recent build, the NMPD Cyclops. I always loved the look of the old NMPD Cyclops, but I thought it would look even better on the new Cyclops body style, and the results speak for themselves. This build is reminiscent of the old set while using new techniques to make it its own, and is a great addition to this NMPD Superfans collection. I think this build is a prime example of letting your imagination run wild and just building something really cool.
Hey everyone, my name is Joseph and I go by JMac Paints. I've been customizing Mega Construx figures for years now, and today we're gonna learn a few things about painting and paint a figure together. So a great way to have your own personal collection without having to go to the store all the time looking for new figures is to learn how to paint your own figures. Customizing is great if you have duplicates of the same figure, or maybe even a figure that you don't care much for. You should always start with primer. You can get pretty good spray paint primer from Walmart or other stores like that for pretty cheap. If you have like a Fred Meyer's or a Mayer's in your area, even like Kroger sometimes will carry pretty decent spray paint for $7 to $10. I personally use Chaos Black from Citadel. It's mostly for Warhammer miniatures, but it works great for Mega Construx. And it is a little bit pricier, but it is very strong and it gives a nice matte finish. After that, you want to make sure that you're thinning your paints. You saw me do that a little bit earlier in the video as well. I like to use a 1-to-1 paint to water ratio. And the reason that you want to thin your paints is so that it doesn't look blotchy and thick when you paint it on. You mostly want to paint in layers rather than just like slapping it on to your figure. Another useful technique is called dry brushing. I'm going to be making a full video tutorial on dry brushing very soon, but the concept is that you use a dry brush with paint on basically the end of it, and then you swipe it across the raised edges of an object. That helps to pick out the details of a sculpt. Well, I hope you learned something in today's video, and thank you to Demarcation Media for having me on the video as well. Peace.
The final section that I want to talk about is one that is particularly important to me, and that is photography. The entire reason why this channel exists in the first place is because of toy photography. I hated Mega before that. I thought they were stupid Lego ripoffs, whatever. Started getting into action figures, found I really like shooting smaller action figures because they're easier to carry, and Halo was like, oh, those figures look cool. McFarlane figures didn't pose enough for me, so I was like, what's a good alternative? I found Mega. I decided to give it a try, and my first figure was this little dude right here. It's Battle for the Ark Marine. He has since gained a backpack and weathering, and I painted his gun. But at first, it was just him, and you can see this is my first photo that I took of him. This was actually shot inside. I got the orange light by shooting a flashlight through a honey jar, and it was a lot of fun. I was like, oh my gosh, these are actually really cool. And then I started buying more and doing more photography. I particularly like doing it outside. I think that's the best way to do toy photography, especially with Mega. All you need is a nice patch of dirt and some rocks or something, and you can do some awesome things. What I run right now for a camera is a Nikon D7100 with a 60mm macro lens. And this is pretty much perfect for getting really in close to your figures, and the D7100 is a pretty good option because it's fairly easy to use, and it's also weather sealed, which means when you're down on the ground in the dirt, shooting, you don't have to worry as much about junk getting in there. So this is my current setup. I really like it. Basically, this is what I'm going to run for a while because I'm really happy with it. However, I know there's a lot of you guys that are not DSLR people, and that's totally fine because all you need is one of these and you can do photography. You just have to get low. That's the thing, is like, to do photography accurately with Mega, you have to get down on their level. You have to get down low, otherwise they look like toys. Now, you could go with that effect, make them look like they're running around on your shelf or whatever, but I prefer trying to go for the more realistic look. This set of photos here is one of my favorite. These figures were from Who the Cares. He customized them, and then I did all the shooting outside, and it felt really good to me. I was really happy with it. I enjoyed shooting it, and that's the sort of thing that I like. There's all kinds of photographers for Mega out there, and you could be one of them because this is an easy thing to get into. You need a single figure. One of the first photos I took was not even a combat related photo. It was just this Marine finding a flower. And that was another one that's like, oh yeah, the scale is kind of off, but it was interesting and it was fun to shoot. So you don't need all that much. You need some sort of camera, you need a figure, and that's about it. Like, you can go outside, you can set up dioramas inside. That's where things kind of start to mesh together because you can do the dioramas. There's so many possibilities. It's so much fun. I'm telling you, you have all these stories, all the stories that you wish 343 were telling, you can tell them with your figures and your camera. And you can go as far as like getting into Photoshop and editing stuff in and all that, but you really don't have to. The best times to shoot are when there's a nice overcast day. It's not raining, but the sun is obscured and the light is nice and even. Find yourself a patch of dirt, nice fine like sandy dirt. Set your figure up. If you have extra stuff like sandbags, set that up and you are good to go. And I'm telling you, if these results have not convinced you that it can be really awesome to do photos, I don't know what can. This is what started me into Mega, and I don't shoot as much as I would like to because I'm making videos now, but it's still, to me, the most fun way to interact with my collection and use them for something other than display. So there you have it. Is the best option to be a Mega fan in 2024 to sell off your collection and give up? No. And I really hope that this video has given you, if not a little bit of hope, at least a little bit of motivation to stay a Mega fan. Like, we don't have to be buying the new sets to be fans of this stuff. Like, it's not a requirement to constantly have the new stuff. Yes, that's awesome. Yes, they should fix their problems. But at the same time, if we just sit around and complain, we're going to get anywhere. We're going to just end up selling off our collection. And then years later, you're gonna go, oh, you know, I used to have Battle for the Ark Marines, and I sold them all off back when Mega was not available. And now that they are, I really wish I had them, but those ones are old, so now they're really expensive still. Or if the worst were to happen and Mega were to fade away into obscurity and no sets would come out, wouldn't you want to still have your old ones? I would. So, he'll be fine. Don't give up. There are so many options to be creative, to use your stuff instead of just collecting it. So give it a try and let me know, which one of these things have you done? Which one of these things seems interesting to you that you haven't done? And where along this line do you get kind of discouraged or hung up? Like, for example, if it's photography, what struggles do you have with photography? If it's painting and customizing, where are you getting stuck there? If it's even something as simple as play, where are you getting stuck there too? Let me know down in the comments. I'll do my best to answer all of the questions that you guys can come up with. And again, don't give up. Quitting is not the answer here, and I'm certainly not quitting. I've said this before, but even if Mega were to just crumble away, I would still be there on the very last day buying up the very last bits of Mega. That being said, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and consider subscribing, and I'll see you next time.